In this teeny tiny episode of Podcastification, I want to talk to you about the implications and best practices regarding smart speakers. My name is Kerry Green, and I am the client happiness guy at podcastfasttrack.com, and this is Podcastification. This show is all about podcasting. How to do it, how not to do it, best practices, interesting news items that have to do with the realm of podcasting, and who knows what else. And I'm trying to do it all with a little bit of fun and some information to help you get a show going, keep yours going, or make it better. And if you like what's going on here on the show, I would appreciate it, so appreciate it, if you could leave a rating or review on iTunes. You can find out how to do that at podcastfasttrack.com/review. That's enough of that kind of stuff. Let's get you podcastificated right away. Okay, so we're talking about smart speakers. Do you even know what I mean when I talk about smart speakers? Smart speakers are like Alexa, or the Amazon Tap is like a mini version of the Alexa. It's really just a fancy Bluetooth speaker. We happen to have one of those that we were actually given through a drawing at a podcasting event that I was at a little while back. But that's all beside the point. We're talking about Amazon Alexa and Google Home and all of these smart speakers that are starting to come out. You see, they all are connected to the internet and they are able to play audio for you. You see, my wife uses our Amazon Tap quite often to play Spotify. That's what she likes. And the speaker has really good sound, so it's a great little application of a smart speaker like that. But you can also speak to it because that particular Amazon Tap functions in many ways like an Alexa, because you can connect it through an Alexa app, which then connects to the internet, which you are able then to ask questions just like you would Alexa. So we say things like, Alexa, tell me a story, and it starts off telling you a story. I mean, all these crazy things these things do. Now, the reason this is relevant for us as podcasters is because I believe these smart speakers and other things like them that I can't even predict at this point are going to become more and more prevalent. They're going to be the thing of the future that people are listening to when they are at their home, for example, listening to the audio of their choice. And we want podcasts, we want your podcast to be that audio of choice, don't we? And so here's what I want to do in this episode. I want to think through just a few things that have to do with these smart speakers and what we can do as podcasters to make the best use of it, at least how it looks right now in March of 2018. All right, so let's dive right in. First thing is, I did some experimentation with my little smart speaker, the Amazon Tap, and I tried to get it to play my particular podcasts. I have quite a few of them. I would say something like this. I would say, Alexa, play Podcastification. And it actually started playing a podcast, but it wasn't my podcast. It was something else. You see, what I think happens is because the name of my show is not very clear and distinct and easy to pronounce and understand even for humans, the little smart speaker just ain't so smart. And it can't quite find my podcast. Now, could the technology improve in the future to where saying it by that name, it would play it? Yeah, maybe it will. But at this point, it's not able to. So what's the principle we can draw from this? Well, it may be better if we're able to name our shows at this point. Say you're just starting out and you're naming your show, to name it something very distinct, very clear, very easy to pronounce, very easily understood, so that people using smart speakers can easily say the name of your podcast. And the smart speaker understand what they're saying and pick it up. Now, you can always go back and rename your podcast if you're up for that. But like in my case, Podcastification, I mean, it's kind of my little shtick. And I'm probably just not going to rename it at this point. That's how people have come to know the show. And so I'm counting on the technology getting better for that situation. Now, let me give you another example. I have another podcast that's called the Christian Home and Family Podcast. So I said the same thing. I said, Alexa, play the Christian Home and Family Podcast. And lo and behold, it starts playing my podcast. I think it chose Spotify to play it on. It may choose something like iHeartRadio if you have that established on your smart device that's linked up through Alexa. But you get the point. The more clear the name, the more easily the speaker was able to pick it up. So I think that's one thing we need to keep in mind as we're thinking about using these things for our podcast. Now, Alexa in particular has these things called Alexa skills that you can develop. It's a piece of software, essentially, that you're developing, a piece of code that you develop through the Amazon platform to put together a particular skill for your particular thing, okay? A lot of the bigger companies are doing this. If you have access to a developer or you know how to code, you can develop your own Alexa skill, and you can make it attached to any phrase you want to so that you can say that phrase and the Alexa machine or software will understand what you're asking for and do the projected task that you're telling it to do. Okay. And you do all that through the software so that you could potentially say to your audience on an episode of your podcast similar to this, if you're listening on Alexa, you can just say, podcast me, and it would play your podcast perhaps. You see what I'm saying? You get to create it, but like anything else, it has to be something nobody else has used and various things. So the Alexa skills is another possibility. And I fear that I'm probably butchering this in the way I'm describing it. So if you know more about Alexa skills than me, hey, please send me an email and set me straight. It's Carrie@podcastfasttrack.com. But there's one other thing I think we should think about when we're considering these smart speakers. And that is loudness levels, volume levels. See, I was noticing the other day when I was working in Auphonic that podcast levels are recommended to be at what's called -16 LUFS, LUFS. And that's nothing more than just the measurement they use for measuring loudness of a digital audio file. And podcasts are recommended to be at -16 LUFS. Well, I noticed there in Auphonic, there is another setting for Alexa, and its loudness level is -14 LUFS. So it's 2 points off. And that's actually in the louder direction. As the integers get smaller because they're negative numbers, it's actually getting louder. And so these smart devices are wanting, the developers of them are wanting us to submit audio for them that is louder. Now think through why that is. Well, you may have background noise going on in the room. You may have, someone calling to you. The speaker may be set on the other side of the room. And so they're wanting the initial audio file that's being drawn from to be louder just to begin with, so that it's easier to hear on those devices. That makes total sense to me. So if you're even aware of the loudness level of your podcast, you may want to consider adjusting to -14. And yes, -16 is still what's recommended for podcasts, but because smart speakers are becoming more and more prevalent throughout our society, -14 may be what we need to go to. I'm considering that seriously for all of my shows, including my client work, because we want to optimize things the very best we can. Those are just a couple of the issues surrounding smart speakers that I've been able to think about. What about you? Can you think of any things that we need to consider when it comes to these smart speakers that are going to be taking over the world? I don't know about that, but you know what I'm saying. And you also know what time it is. It's time for you to go and make it a podcastificating day. This show is brought to you by Podcast Fast Track, where my team provides professional podcasting services without the time suck. Full production, editing, and show notes all in one monthly subscription package. You can find out more at podcastfasttrack.com. Now go out and make it a podcastificating day.